I used to open my analytics, immediately regret it, and close the tabs. So I built something that tells me what matters and nothing else. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Claude Code to create your own marketing dashboard. Let's go. If I'm new to you, my name is Victoria Boyd, and I'm a marketing strategist and an AI consultant, and I've spent the last 10 plus years helping founders build marketing systems that actually work without burning out. I specialize in AI-powered workflows, which means I spend a lot of time figuring out how to make tools like Claude do the heavy lifting so you don't have to. And this video is one of those tools. So this is my marketing dashboard. I built it myself, no coding experience, in an afternoon. So it pulls from every platform that I'm active on. It tells me what is improved, what's tanked, and this is the part that I actually love. It tells me what to focus on next. Not in a vague, like, oh, post more consistently way, but in a here's what actually moved the needle last week, and here's why it matters sort of way. Most of us already have all of this data. We just never look at it. We never try to interpret it because looking at it is really annoying. And this makes it a lot less annoying and a lot less overwhelming. So that's what we're going to be building today in this video. So the first thing we're going to do is open up Claude. We're going to go to Claude Code over here in the top of the little navigation over here. And you're going to want to set up the folder. For this, I'm just using demo. My normal one lives in my marketing folder, which is the same folder that I use for Claude Cowork and that I save a lot of my marketing stuff locally. So what we're going to do is we are going to brainstorm with Claude. And actually what I mean by brain dumping or brainstorming with Claude is you're actually going to want to do this like pen and paper or in a Notion doc or a Google Doc or something like that. I've already gone ahead and written out my version of brain dumping for this, and I'm going to tell you everything that you need to consider. So here's what I brain dumped with Claude just there. What data I actually want to see. So that's things like what platforms matter to me, what metrics I actually care about, and the ones that I would normally ignore. If I want goals or targets to be visible, and if I want any sort of historical comparison versus last period, that sort of thing, what I want it to tell me. So how I want it to help me interpret the data, what improved, what declined, and what that means for me and my business specifically, what a useful focused next recommendation will look like versus something that's far too generic. I'm also thinking about things like how I want to feel when I'm using it. So this is something that I want to consider. Like, am I going to open it daily? Am I going to open it weekly? Or is it just something that I'm going to visit when it feels off? Do I want it to be one page or do I want it to dig deeper? What really do I want to create here? Then you're also going to want to consider things that maybe you want to leave out that has maybe historically given you or encouraged you to make bad decisions in your business you might want to leave out. I would also create like versions of this for like launches where I'm looking at conversion rates specifically, and I might not be looking at much else other than my conversion rate and my page views. And while this is finishing up, a little note on plan limits. I don't want you to think that you are chatting with Claude Code because you are going to run through your limits so quickly if you are chatting with Claude Code. What I want you to do is think about it like you are commissioning work. So the more specific your brief, the fewer rounds it's going to take. Think about when you're hiring a freelancer or a team member, you're giving them all of the details you possibly can up front and then just answering its questions moving forward. And I want you to use Claude Code with that same kind of idea. Otherwise, you're going to really burn through your usage, which is very annoying. But I do have a resource down below for you. It's free that you can look at for usage tips and all of that. Couple things before you start building. I want you to think about everything I just said and start thinking about it outside of Claude. So brain dump everything we just talked about in your notes app, on paper, Notion, whatever, but not in your Claude Code conversation because every message costs context. I also want you to know what you want before you ask because vague prompts are going to lead to vague outputs, which will lead to 10 rounds of actually, can you change, which is going to really eat through your usage fast. Okay, before we really dive into our first version, our first iteration of this marketing dashboard, I do want to continue taking a beat to talk about usage, context, limits, and all of that because I blew through them a couple times over, if I'm being completely honest, because I wasn't that clear about what I wanted. I was just kind of working with Claude instead of telling Claude what to do. And here are some things that helped me. So while you're building, if you are exploring or if you're curious, use Claude AI in your browser. Save Claude code for the actual building. So just use basic chat. When you're happy with a section, just tell Claude explicitly, like, this part is done. Do not change it. Otherwise, it might revisit it, even if that's not something that you want it to do. If you ever get something that you're like, this is working, copy it, save it somewhere safe before asking for any changes. So that way you always have a backup that you can like roll back to an old version without needing to start over or use more credits or anything like that. When you get stuck, you can describe the problem, but don't ask Claude to just try something because that's going to burn your usage without direction. If something is broken, paste the specific error message rather than describing it generally. You're going to get faster fixes and fewer messages in doing that. Okay, so at this point, Claude has built your first version of your marketing dashboard. And it's probably going to look something like this. I mean, this is based on parameters that I gave it. So I was like, I want an overview. I want to look at the last 7 days and the last 30 days. I want to have my goals up front and center. And then I want to break things down by platform. At this point, it's all placeholder data. We don't have any APIs in here, so it's not pulling real numbers from Google Analytics or Fathom or Flowdesk or Beehive or anything like that. We are just getting very generic data. So we are just going to take a look and see how this works. Now, for me, this is a good first version. Now, if I wanted to go through and give Claude some feedback on this, a couple of things I might ask is say, I'd like a settings page where I can save my API keys and update them as needed. I'd like goals to be inputs where I can add my goals and have it compare to those actual numbers. What else? What other feedback can I give this? Under websites, I want top pages. And we'll just say that's good from there. We're also going to say move the at a glance to the top under the, what did it call it? Under the overview. So that's kind of just an example of providing feedback back to Claude. And from there, it's really just going to be about editing any aesthetic looks you want or giving it a vibe or more visuals or anything of that sort of nature. And if you're like scared of the whole API key thing, let me just break down what API keys are real quick. This is the part that sounds really scary, but it actually isn't. An API key is basically just a password that lets your dashboard talk to another app. And you're going to copy and paste a few of these and then never think about them ever again, which is great. It's a unique code that proves to an app that it's you making the request, kind of like a VIP wristband when you go to a concert, and that VIP wristband comes with perks like maybe closer to the stage or a special drink bar or private bathrooms or whatever. So you'll need to create a code from whatever tools you are going to use and connect to your dashboard. So like Beehive, Flowdesk, Kit, Google Analytics, Posts, whatever you're using is what you're going to connect. Okay, so I've decided that this is good enough for now, but you're at a point where you are going to go back and forth with Claude and make any changes that you want to make, customize it however you want to make, add colors, so on and so forth. But we have a working skeleton at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a couple API keys. I did change it from Fathom to Google Analytics just because it's easier to set up. And we are going to run with that real quick. It's just more secure, easier to just use a scheduling tool that also does analytics to get that data. So we're going to save that and we're going to go back to our dashboard. I also added a refresh button in the last changes I had to make. So it's going to go out and pull in all of that actual data from my accounts. Now, a dashboard that you never open up is just a fun project that you built once. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. What I want you to do is pick one day and one time and put it in your calendar as a recurring block. It can be 15 minutes the same time every week or 15 minutes once a month, and treat it like a standing meeting that you have with your business, or loop it into your CEO day or whatever it is you call that. And when you open it, I want you to ask yourself three questions. What actually moved this week? Where did I spend energy that didn't show up in the numbers? And what is one thing worth doing differently next week? And that's the whole habit. You're not doing a deep dive, you're taking a pulse, 10, 15 minutes, and you're done. But you leave knowing where you stand instead of guessing. The dashboard is where most people get stuck. The dashboard tells you what's happening, but then what? If something is working, do more of it and do it deliberately. Figure out why it worked and build from there. If something isn't moving, don't panic, but also don't ignore it. Ask whether you're actually spending time there and if that platform is even where your people actually are. And if you look at your numbers and think, okay, I can see all of this, but I have no idea how to actually change it or improve it, that's the gap that this dashboard wasn't designed to fill, but seeing your numbers is step one. And building a strategy behind them is step two. And that's what we do inside of Strategies that Stack, but more on that in a second. Now, this took me a couple afternoons to build from scratch, but you don't have to. If you want to skip straight to having the live dashboard showing your numbers, the template is on sale down below. You get everything I built already set up and ready to connect your accounts to, and the link is in the description down below. And if you get there and think, okay, I can see my numbers now, but I have no idea how to actually move my numbers, that's exactly what Strategies that Stack is for. It's my membership where we build the marketing systems and the marketing strategy behind these numbers so we can improve it, work together, and I act as really your marketer in your pocket. The dashboard tells you where you stand, and Strategies that Stack is how you change it. Both links to the template and Strategies that Stack are in the description below.